Hello, 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 sellers. Come on in. Come on in. I'm Kathy, and I love to be selling on eBay. So come on, and we're going to be talking about a super, super, super tip, actually, several tips that I used to grow and scale my eBay selling because I'm getting a lot of questions about scaling. Kathy, how'd you do it? How do I do it? I want to make my business bigger. And the scaling tips will be useful for you whether you're new, and you're looking to grow from 20 listings to 30 to 50 to 100. And from my wonderful experienced seller friends, and you may have several hundred listings up and you want to get bigger. Okay, so I'm going to let you know what worked for me, and then take what sounds good for you and you try it. As you all know, I am not a cookie cutter coach. What I do is I share tips that I know of that I have proven. I've tested in client accounts, because some things, like I worked with a big home and garden seller a couple of years back. So for instance, I know a lot of home and garden tips from growing and scaling his business. So everything I share with you, I have tested, or I've tested on a client's account, or tested with my members, my Love to Be Selling Insider members, or that I have it from very good authority, like a fellow seller who's shown me their account, shown me things, senior staff that shared things with me. So everything is data driven. Everything is backed up. Everything has been tested. Everything is authoritative. Okay. And those of you that watch me live on my Facebook business page, I Love to Be Selling. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Turning my fan on, all of a sudden I've gotten a little warm here. Those of you that are catching me on my YouTube channel, thank you. Thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't, click subscribe so you get notified when I upload a video there. And those of you that download my podcast, I Love to Be Selling. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. So let's get down to it. We're going into fourth quarter. I'm going to date this. This is October 28th, 2024. And oftentimes going into fourth quarter, being in fourth quarter, looking at Thanksgiving, looking at Christmas, looking at New Year's, a lot of sellers, just so you know, you're not alone. A lot of sellers really, really ramp up. I mean, this is a time of year where people really, really ramp up. So if it feels like there's more competition out there, if it feels like when you go to list, there's a lot more of what you're listing, and this is true in any category: clothing, toys, automotive accessories, shoes, jewelry, home decor, sheets, bedding, everything. There's more, because a seller that might have, let's say, 5,000 listings up, all of a sudden they're going up to 8 and 9,000. This is their money time. And smaller sellers and very casual sellers, because we have a lot of sellers that come on to eBay. And those of you that are doing this, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you found me, because they're selling personal possessions, which is how a lot of us started selling on eBay, to make money for the holidays. They're paying for their family vacation. They're paying for their family's Christmas. They are selling things from around their home to pay for holiday gifts for their friends and family. So there's a lot of selling going on right now on eBay. So with that in mind, how do I scale? So this is what I did. If you don't know my story, I started very casually selling items from around my home, and it was clothing. I live in Manhattan. You're seeing the yellow cabs behind me. And selling items that I had in my home, to bring income in for my family, because I had left product presenting on QVC, which I did for over 6 years, to be home to take care of my mom, because my mom was in failing health. So for me, the selling the home items, one, it was decluttering, which was great, and it brought income in, but it was very part-time. I only had a few hours a day to focus on my eBay, because the rest of the time was really focused on mom. Once my mother passed, I made a very conscious decision to scale my eBay. And that might be where you are, where it's like, okay, I have this amount of sales, and now I want to grow it. I either want a larger part-time business, part-time meaning your focus is somewhere else. It could be you're a stay-at-home mom. It could be special needs for your family. It could be medical situation for yourself or your family. And by part-time, I mean you do not have 8, 10, 12 hours a day to dedicate to your eBay. You might have a full-time job, and then eBay is flexed around that. So I wanted to grow from part-time to having just a few hours a day for eBay to full-time. And at that point, I had about 6, 8 hours I could give to eBay daily. And in my mind, I set a dollar amount, and I encourage you to do that. Whatever scaling you're doing, if you're going from 50 listings to 60, if you're going from 100 listings to 500 listings, in your mind, you're either going to do one of two things. Either you're setting a listing goal, I want to get this amount of listings up, or it's a dollar goal. Like I'm bringing in 100 right now. I want it to go to 500 or 600 or 1,000, but set it down, write it down so it's tangible for you. And then what you look at is where I am right now, which for me, if I remember correctly, I was like around 30, 40, 50 listings when I decided to scale. I did not have a store. Also, to let you know, I did not have a store for several years. I grew and scaled without a store. Back then, there was no starter store, which I think is great, by the way. So when you get like around 100, 200 listings, definitely take a look at a starter store. But so it was basic store on up. There was no starter store. So I sold, until I got myself up like around 250, 300 listings before I really took a look at a store. My focus was on getting my listings up at the beginning. Okay. Wasn't worried about promotions. There were no coupons back then. Wasn't worried about running a sale. I just wanted to get my listings up. And that's my first recommendation to you when you're scaling. What is your focus? You cannot focus on three things at once. It's not in the realm of possibility. What is your focus? And I encourage you that your focus, if you're going to scale, think about this, has to be getting listings up. Okay. Having a store is great. Running promotions is great. To me, that's more intermediate advanced. Regardless of where you are in your selling, to scale, you must get more listings up. And I'm going to do a part B to that. Okay. If you are a more advanced seller, so let's say you have several thousand listings up. I've worked with sellers like this. Actually, I worked with several sellers that have thousands and thousands of listings up. So for them to scale, it was not a matter of more listings because they had a ton up already. It was increasing their profit margins. Okay. So yes, Kathy, I have all these listings up, sell-through rate. They wanted to sell faster. Okay. Everybody always wants to increase margins. Margins means how much you're making per item. Okay. So for more advanced, for them to scale was increasing sell-through rate. If you have less than a couple thousand listings up, really the focus is on getting your listings up. Two things on that, two tips I want to give you. One, either you have a ton of unlisted inventory. If you fall into camp A, you are in, I have my flowers here. If you are in the orange flower camp, which is I have a lot of unlisted inventory, that's your focus, okay, is get it listed. And you really got to look at what's stopping me. Time, energy, overwhelm, whatever it is. But honestly, if you've got, let's say, and I've seen some people's homes where it's literally rooms and rooms of stuff, is real simple. If you've got more than a room full of stuff, is honestly, I would encourage you to stop shopping. And you're going to go one at a time. Now, right now, because we are going into fourth quarter, I would go into room one or closet one or bin one or storage unit one, whatever it is, and look for anything that looks Christmassy, Hanukkah-y, Thanksgiving-y, winter-y, okay? So your winter sweaters, okay? Any kind of ornaments, any kind of home decor. Are things red and green? The Hanukkah colors, are they blue or are they silver? Get it, pull it. That goes into a box, a hefty bag, however you want to organize yourself. That goes into your listing area, and that is what you're listing next. You're listing what is seasonal. Just forget everything else. Just get that up. Okay. And you're going to set yourself a goal, and you will find ways to keep yourself interested in meeting that goal. And everybody's got different things that work. I had one friend where she literally would hang bills over her computer. It's like, this is what's motivating me, is this bill, the car payment or whatever it is. Okay. Is you must just, for you, because you have a lot of unlisted inventory, for you to scale is listing, 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 and keeping yourself entertained so you don't die of boredom doing it, okay? And that you're engaged and that you're having fun, music. Again, look at the bill hanging over your desk, list. If you are somebody where you do not have a lot of unlisted inventory, and there are sellers like that, where you maybe have 10 or 15 things that aren't listed, or maybe half a room full of things that aren't listed. First of all, good for you. Is then for you, for scaling, you're looking at, okay, Kathy, I don't have rooms full of unlisted inventory or bins or storage units. Hi, Amy. Of course, you can ask a question. Your situation is acquiring inventory to list on eBay because you have 50 listings or 100 or 200. Okay. And this is what I did when I first started expanding. Okay. Because at the beginning, I'm selling my own personal possessions. Then you sort of, those are either listed or sold. And now it's like, okay, now I'm sourcing. Now I am buying things, acquiring things to sell on eBay. And you've now gone into business mode. Doesn't mean that you're full-time or part-time. Okay. You're in business mode, whether you're part-time or full-time. You're in business mode because you are acquiring things to sell. Okay. And this is what I did is I went into areas that I knew. Okay. My background is show business. I was raised on old movies. I was raised on Henry Fonda and Bette Davis and Joan Crawford, and Greer Garson and Laurence Olivier. I mean, this is what I was raised on. So what I started with was vintage VHS, and VHS still sells, but not the way it did way back when. Sort of like Beanie Babies way back when sold. Yes, they kind of sell now. Be careful with Beanie Babies. Not really anymore. So I went into an area that I knew, but then it died. And it died because Turner Classics bought out the MGM library and they put them out on disc. And now media is more challenging. Media still does sell, but it's more challenging because there's so much streaming. So when things bottom out or the price really drops, and this can happen, okay, whether you're a newer seller or a more experienced seller, the temptation is, and this is where beware of social media, the temptation is it's eBay's fault, okay? And truthfully, like with the film thing was, it was a change in how society consumed media. And I got stuck with a bunch of VHS, dropped the price, got out. I had still made plenty of money. I was fine. And you may find yourself going into things like that, things that are more trendy. I've also sold fitness, another very trendy product. Did really, really well. I mean, literally made thousands of dollars with some stuff. And then it bottomed out because then it wasn't the thing to do. Okay. You might find some vintage clothing, vintage t-shirts, vintage dresses, and certain styles can be very, very trendy and go very, very high. And then they can start to drop, sort of like the stock market. It's an up and down. Some things are solid and it's great when you find them, but a lot of things will peak and valley. And the other thing with that is they will peak and valley because a YouTuber, God bless YouTubers, I'm a YouTuber, will do YouTubes on it. And you'll have literally hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of sellers jump into the category. And that impacts the prices. So just to let you know about that. So just be aware of that. So as you're growing, one, start to sell things that you know. Okay. So for instance, back to vintage film. So let's say the VHS, isn't going so well. So then I will look at the DVD, and then maybe I'll look at posters, and maybe I'll look at other film or TV or entertainment memorabilia. One of my friends who's out on the West Coast, they have some really interesting estate sales, and she'll come across vintage film memorabilia at estate sales. So this has become an area of expertise for her, which I think is such fun. Okay. The other thing when you're growing so look at things you know. If it bottoms out, can you take that knowledge and shift it to something else? Like for me with fitness, I then shifted to fitness clothing. Is there clothing lines that I can find either thrifting, retailing, online? And the other thing when you're growing and scaling, and I'm actually doing this again because I'm shifting some inventory around, buy things that fit or work for your family. So let's say you're expanding into men's clothing. What size are your teenage sons, your husband, your best friends that are male? Can you buy things in their sizes? So if worse comes to worse, guess who's going to get the clothing? Okay. If you're expanding into different clothing lines that are women's, that might be yours. I mean, I'm female, is buy my sizes, because if worse comes to worse, I'll wear it. Right. So buy things that you could use. Is it a sport that you play? Great friend Mike, who used to work for eBay, he sold tons and tons of golf because he's a golfer and he really knows golf. So he would spot things on eBay. He would flip off of eBay. He'd spot things at yard sales. He knew golf. So he really dug into that. And some of them he did use because I asked him, he said, yeah. So he would use it and then he'd sell it. So go into areas that you know, and also go into areas like with my friend Mike that your friends know. Like, I may not know golf, but I'm married to a golfer, or my brother is a golfer. My brother actually loves to bike. So if I was going to be going into biking things, I'd be getting a hold of my brother and saying, hey, what's this about the biking? So expanding is things that you can use, because if worse comes to worse, you will. Family members or friends can use, and also family members or friends that have expertise in that area that you can tap them and get ideas. Okay. Oh, so Amy's saying she has a huge death pile. Yes, many things to be listed. How can I find out if I should go premium store from basic? So when you get listing, get listing. And once you're around the threshold, take a look at it, Amy. The amount that you're listing, and a wonderful question. Thank you for asking. Is it sustainable? Because this is the other thing. For me, it was, because I was going full-time eBay. So for me, it was sustainable to grow and grow and grow. But you've got to look at your schedule, your life, and look at how many listings is a basic store. And then for you, how many listings is a premium? And is it sustainable for you to source and list that many items? The great thing about growing and scaling eBay, and tell me if this has happened to you, is so you've got 200 listings up and you're working your tail off. This will happen to my membership, and you're getting 250 listings up, but like 30 things sell, 20 things sell, 10 things sell. It's like, so it's like, okay, I got all these listings up, but now I'm getting all these sales. Isn't that a wonderful situation to be in? And that's what you're after, because my big giant sellers that have like a gazillion listings, what was happening for them was, yes, they have a gazillion listings up, but it's not selling. So I'm growing, I'm scaling, but realize the reason you want to grow and scale is more sales, more sales. And isn't it a wonderful situation to be in, like, oh no, I was up 300 and now I'm at 260 or 270 because I sold all this stuff. Great. Okay. So yay. And that's why you got to look at what is sustainable for you. Melissa says, yes, you can. If she doesn't get you to go live, Kathy's very good about following up after. Yes. Thank you, Melissa. I always follow up. But really, Amy, is get yourself to the level of listings where you're ready to go to the next level and really look at, is this sustainable for me? And the answer is yes or no. For me, it was, because I went from basic to, I went from no store to basic to premium. And I've also had people go the other way, where they're at the higher level, they're at the anchor, and they go to premium. And this is my advanced tip, because they've increased the sell-through rate, like what I was sharing, which is they're grow scaling, but their scaling is about selling more. So they may only have 400 listings up or 500 listings up, but they're selling more. And that's really what you're after. Yes, to list. Yes, to grow. Yes, to scale. But why am I doing it? I'm doing it to sell more. And that's what my eye is on. Okay. And then that's what you're looking at. So yes, the list, because people brag, oh, I have 1,000 listings up, 2,000. Good. More important is what's your sell-through rate. What are you selling? If you've got 2,000 listings up and you're only getting 1 or 2 sales a day, unless it's very high ticket items. Okay. So if you're very high ticket luxury, great. Right. But for most people, that's not great to have a couple thousand listings up and only get a few sales. So I want to list, particularly if I have a lot of unlisted inventory. But while I'm listing, is to really keep an eye on that I am getting the sales to sustain my business. And that's how you scale. It's the listings, but listings that are selling. And that's what my focus is on. And I've got a great free guide for you. And Amy, do come and grab it because you will love it. Fall Winter Essential Products Guide. And the reason you will love it is it will help you decide what things to get listed first. Because when you have a big death pile, it can be overwhelming. It's like, oh my goodness, I have all these things to list. And what this guide will help you with is what is selling now. It's free. It's on my website, Fall Winter Essential Product Guide. Grab it, print it out, or throw it on, on your computer or wherever you want to put it, and look at it. And it will help you prioritize what you're pulling to list. Okay. And also, if you're out and about, if you do only have a few things that are unlisted, so you're in a situation where you're looking to acquire things, it's going to help you have a really keen eye, whether you're thrifting, whether there's still yard sales in your neighborhood for my friends in the southern United States. And also don't overlook retail. Retail can be very lucrative this time of year with all the wonderful clearance and sale events. So grab that. Angela, hi, Angela. I've noticed that through the increase of shipping, sales have unfortunately slowed down. The increase of shipping, I think you mean the cost. So take a look at it. You might want to take a look at with some things, if the shipping costs have gone up, is take a look at doing calculated shipping, because then it's going to be less expensive for somebody that's closer to you and more expensive for somebody that's further away. That is something that I do because I'm New York, right? Particularly if you're sort of like on one coast or the other coast, is really take a look at calculated shipping. Because that way the people that are closer to you will really like it because your rates are so low. And it will be more expensive for people further away. But you'd be surprised, particularly going into the holidays, if you have the item that they really, really want, they will be very glad to pay it. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're in Florida. Enjoy, Amy. I hope you're okay with everything with the hurricane. I know that's been tough for a lot of people. So I'm hoping that you're okay. But grab the guide. It's super helpful. Be sure to join me here on my Facebook business page. I love to be selling. And again, thank you everybody on my YouTube channel. Kathy Turley, I love to be selling it on my podcast. I so appreciate it. Grab this and remember with scaling, okay? Getting the listings up or sourcing to get the listings up, but with a keen eye on your sales. Because again, to have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 listings, isn't that a nice number? But with very few or no sales, your business is in jeopardy. And you can actually be more successful than a person with 3, 4, and 5 listings up with only a few hundred listings up because your sell-through rate is so excellent. And that is scaling because you're scaling, not just your listings, more important, you're scaling your sales. And that's what's important to be a successful eBay seller. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome, Angela. You're welcome, Amy. Bye-bye, everybody. I'm Kathy, and I love to be selling on eBay.